this is a video that I'm going to be doing. What's happened is I did a podcast recently, and when I watched some of it back, I couldn't watch it all. It was so uncomfortable watching myself, and it was an hour and 24 minutes. But one of the things that I noticed was I wasn't very eloquent in the way I was speaking. I was doing lots of ums and ahs and using lots of fillers to express what I was saying, and it just did not come across eloquently. I did not come across the way I sound in my head. So I thought what I'm going to do is just record short videos each day and try and improve my eloquence and ability to talk, and see if I can come across a little bit better, because I think I'm doing that in all areas of my life. So there we go. See, I'm going to try as best as possible not to do the and ums and whatever else, those filler words. Which means there's going to be some pauses, yeah. I can't remember what I'm talking about now. So okay, so the way that I'm going to do this is I've asked an LLM to give me a topic, and then I'll talk about that topic for a little bit. So I'll do my best to talk about something when I've just found out what I'm going to be talking about, and see if I can improve on my communication skills. And then I'm uploading it, not because I expect anybody to ever be watching this, but there's a chance someone will watch it, so there's that kind of added pressure as well, that it's not just, I can forget about it and leave it. So I'm going to just upload these videos unedited, and then I'll be able to see from start to finish, however long that takes, me improving. And I'm going to try and look up the topic, try different tactics and strategies for improving my speaking. In some ways I don't think my speaking's so bad, but then again it's really hard to tell, because when I watched that interview that someone did of me, Leo did of me, the ums and ahs, and it was so prevalent. It was so, I could not hear what I was talking about because there was so much filler in that. It was so ineloquent, and it's not how it sounded when I was going through the interview with him. And I'm kind of a bit disappointed in myself that that happened. So I want to get away from doing that. And that's it as well. There's a lot of where I kind of trail off into kind of second guess. I'm doing it now, second guessing what I'm saying as I'm saying it, repeating the same things again and again, repeating the sentence back again. So I want to try and get away from that, and like I said, make myself more eloquent. So upload them and do at least one each day, even when I'm working, because I work long hours. And hopefully just by doing that I'll improve myself, and like I said, I will investigate the topic in my own time as well, and see if there's any ways that I can actually improve myself. Okay, so the LLM gave me a question today, and the question it gave me, I think it was Gemini I used, the question it gave me is, what's one piece of advice that's common that I disagree with? And that's okay. The answer to that question, or what I think, is people telling you when you ask them, especially when you're younger, see, dare I do it again? I'm kind of filling these kind of little gaps. Anyway, I've got to stop observing, talking about what I'm actually doing and answer the question. Okay, so the piece of advice that kind of did me the most harm is when and I think it's especially prevalent, especially harmful to younger people, is telling them when they've got hang up about something, whatever it may be, whether it's worrying about getting a first job, worrying about first partner or getting a partner, worrying about some life issue, and the person tells them, don't worry, it will be okay. And the thing is, I think that our actual answer is right for the person saying it, but that person's going to be fine. They don't, there's no need to worry for them. They're going to be fine. But telling the person who needs the advice not to worry, that's the worst thing that they can do. Because if they buy into that, it stops them struggling to deal with that problem. And I know that that's what happened to me. I didn't really get that advice directly, but you see on TV and whatever else, TV can be so negative in the messages it puts across, and I think it screws up so many people. I think in some ways the internet's better. I know people say the internet's harmful, and with social media for sure, but with a lot of other stuff, with some social media and getting different people's opinions on things, it can be a bit more opening, it's a bit more grey. So as long as you don't get locked into some way of thinking, but there I trail off again. But yeah, that vice of not worrying is the last thing that someone needs to hear. If you've got some issue, you need to go and struggle through it to solve it. And if you don't struggle, if you don't worry, that's a negative thing, because then you don't actually solve that problem. It may be a little struggle, but those switches don't get turned on, and then that screws you up, and it becomes a knock-on effect. And I think that happened to me in a lot of ways in the choices that I've made in life earlier on. And then obviously these little course corrections that you have in life. So you're going in one direction, these little course corrections, because things like that can take you into a much more negative direction. Not that my life has, but it could have been so much more, or can be so much more positive. And I'm so much more aware now of making choices that what I do today and the impact that that's going to have tomorrow, and that I want it to take me to where I desire or where I choose to go, rather than if the vice doesn't, if the information I get in, the decision I'm making doesn't move me towards what I choose to have in my life, then I'm not interested in choosing that way. That's the wrong choice for me. And so I'm going to upload this. I can tell that I wasn't as eloquent as I would like to be just talking about this for the first question. So we'll see, doing this every day. Like I said, I'm going to do it at least once a day. On my days off, I'll probably try and do it 2 and 3 times a day. So if you see this video, if you do come across it, that's what I'm doing. I'm not even going to properly title them or anything. They're just going to be titled, so they're clearly just for private use. Well, not private, because it's going to be public, so you can watch it and whatever else. And if you do find it useful, if you do come across it, super fantastic for you. Didn't mean that to sound sarcastic. Anyway, so that's my first video. It's going to be so great to see how this kind of changes over over the year and see if I can keep this up. And I'm quite good at following through. And now I'm just waffling, so that's the end of that.